Senator from Collinton, what purpose do you rise?
Unanimous consent.
State your request.
I request a moment of personal interest.
Recognized for a point of personal interest up to 5 minutes. Senator from Collinton.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am.
I wasn't sure when I needed to make these statements, and I was going to make them on yesterday at the, I was trying to find the appropriate time. On Monday, I had an interesting conversation with one of my constituents in Charleston, and a lot of you know her. Her name is Anita Zucker. She is a proud South Carolinian, and she was telling me a lot of things of even that her parents had their home still in Ukraine, and how concerned she was for her state that she tries to give so much to, and where we have come. And we talked about what had gone on in Charleston years ago with one of your own, the person who I succeeded, Clementa Pinckney. When I came to the Senate, I came behind him, and I had big shoes to fill. And I wasn't sure what I was going to say this morning, because I've tried following what the creed of the Senate is. We have a hate crimes bill, and I know a lot of you don't want to hear about this, but I came to the Senate with the understanding that we were a deliberative body. That means we're to talk out our differences and try to find common ground. So it was interesting to me that even though one of your senators left this body after making comments on the floor about gun rights, and he ended up being murdered in his church along with his parishioners. That is one of the nation's most atrocious hate crimes that have been committed. But the irony is this body refuses to even deliberate. The leadership has made a statement that this is not important, that Clementa Pinckney's death is in vain, and that the rest of us, when we stand up, we can be persecuted for representing our constituents. So the leadership in my caucus said, well, let's take all of the people listed in your book. Let's take all of the people that have objected to this hate crimes bill, and you go around and talk to them. What's interesting is the hate crimes bill in our book is the most contested bill before us. 8. One time it was 9. One time it was 10. And what's interesting is it's not necessarily the leadership that has objected to this bill. It's most of the young folks. It's most of the young senators here. And at one time, I think, quite honestly, I think the leadership does object to it, because the leadership is responsible for bringing the bill to the floor under special order. I think they're just using some of the other folks. And that's shame on you. South Carolina has long says that, welcome to South Carolina. It's a great place to live. It's a great day in South Carolina. And the governor keeps saying, South Carolina is open for business. We want business here. Well, what Anita Zucker brought to my attention was that, well, she discovered that white nationalists have this site. It's called Stormfront. It's the white pride world. Did you know, and I put it on your desk yesterday, did you know, you can research this site yourself, did you know that South Carolina is now a great place for white nationalists to come? That site, it says it in there, I circled it on there, South Carolina, because we refuse to even take up this hate crimes bill, and we refused to pass hate crimes law. Now, South Carolina is touted across the world as a great place to come because we don't have, that's what it's saying in there. You can look at the views yourself. I don't know another way to say this other than shame on you if you don't at least let us take this up before this legislative session is over. A lot of the young people that I've tried to talk to, the young senators I've tried to talk to, some of them lawyers, I could tell they had never even read the bill. Some of the lawyers in this body have told me when I tried to deliberate with them, I mean a lot of them, well, I just don't want free speech to be removed. Well, it was brought to my attention, and I looked at it. That element is moved out of that bill. But the whole idea of pandering to the far right, we've fallen prey to it. It is not a great day to live in South Carolina when we want to say that we want to live among folks that pride themselves on hating others. I can't imagine anybody in here that I would hate. I just don't get it. We can do better than this, South Carolina. We have to do better. I'm going to reference and I'm going to sit down, Mr. President. The question on the stormfront.org site says, white nationalist-friendly towns I can move to. Congratulations, South Carolina. On the second page, one thing to consider before moving is that Arkansas, Indiana, and we know they've at least accepted, now have a hate crime. Wyoming and South Carolina don't have hate crime laws yet, at least according to the ADL. So congratulations, leadership. You've accomplished a lot this year in showing that you love all of South Carolina and you want us to continue to prosper. Don't let hate live. It's up to you.
Your time has expired. Thank you, Senator. Senator from Richland, Senator McLeod, what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I rise for a very important video presentation. Point of personal interest.
Point of personal interest. You're recognized for a point of personal interest for up to 5 minutes. Senator from Richland.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Hate shocked the nation, and now 8 members of South Carolina Senate are given
I
a safe
rise
haven
this
to
morning
hate.
for
Every
a
time you look
very
at Senator
important,
Pinckney's photograph,
very
you should be
powerful
reminded that hate killed him.
video
He was one of
presentation.
your colleagues, and hate murdered
The
him.
senator from Colleton
If we
just
had
talked
hate
about
crimes law in
hate
South Carolina in
crimes, and
2015,
so many of
our
us
state should
have
have
been
charged
talking about hate crimes
Hillary
and
for killing
working behind the
Vietnam in
scenes
we should
to
be able
talk to our
prosecute
colleagues
hate
who are
crimes
blocking us
without
from
relying on the
debating
federal
it
government.
in this body.
So today, I sadly ask my senators,
And
Brian
today,
Adams and Larry
we're going to
Bruce,
hear from
who
someone
represent
who
me in Berkeley County,
knows and has
Senators
experienced
Cash,
hate
Clymer,
firsthand.
Garrett, and Loftus, and Rice. Why are you holding up
Before
this
we
bill?
show this video and before
What
I
is
invite my
wrong with
colleagues to
protecting
join
us
me
from
at the
hate
podium,
crimes? Please remove your objections
I want
so
to
this
talk
bill can
about a
pass
young
today.
man, the youngest
As a survivor of an
those
infamous crime,
who were murdered
I ask the South Carolina Senate
by
to
Dylan
pass
Roof
a hate crimes bill today.
on June
The time
17th
has come
of
to do right,
2015.
because it is right.
Tawanza Sanders was a young man that I had an opportunity to meet when I did some work for Allen University, where my great-great-grandfather served as president in the late 1800s. And I was looking through some materials the other day. Well, not the other day, actually, it was last year. And came across Tawanza's number and his name on this sheet of paper that he had given me years ago. And it brought me to my knees, because all I could think about was this young man, brilliant mind, bright, beautiful smile, and a zest for life. But his dreams and his hopes will never be realized because of hate, because of the hate that Dylan Roof harbored in his heart when he went to Mother Emanuel to kill 9 innocent people simply because of the color of their skin. I want y'all to think about that. Think about the hopes and dreams that he had. Think about the hopes and dreams that our colleague, Senator Clementa Pinckney, had, and the time that he will miss, and the memories that he'll never get to make with his wife and his daughters. I would ask my colleagues who are interested in debating and passing a hate crimes bill this session to join me at the podium, please. And may we show the video now?
Please show the video.
Hello, my name is Polly Sheppard, and I am a survivor of the Mother Emanuel massacre. On June 17, 2015, I looked into the eyes of hate when Dylan Roof told me to my face that he would let me live so I could tell the story. So I'm telling you the story now that hate killed your colleague and my former pastor, Reverend Clementa Pinckney. So I'm telling you now that hate murdered 9 members of my church. Hate intentionally selected Mother Emanuel because it is a black church. Hate shocked the nation, and now 8 members of South Carolina Senate are given a safe haven to hate. Every time you look at Senator Pinckney's photograph, you should be reminded that hate killed him. He was one of your colleagues, and hate murdered him. If we had a hate crimes law in South Carolina in 2015, our state should have charged Dylan Roof for killing the Emanuel 9. We should be able to prosecute hate crimes without relying on the federal government. So today, I sadly ask my senators, Brian Adams and Larry Grooms, who represent me in Berkeley County, and Senators Cash, Clymer, Garrett, and Loftus, and Rice, why are you holding up this bill? What is wrong with protecting us from hate crimes? Please remove your objection so this bill can pass today. As a survivor of an infamous crime, I ask the South Carolina Senate to pass a hate crimes bill today. The time has come to do right, because it is right. Thank you.
Thank you. And before I take my seat, I'd also like to recognize that we have a very special guest, 2 very special guests in the gallery, Reverend Nelson Rivers and Ms. Trudy Grant. Would you please stand? Thank you.
Welcome to the Senate. Welcome to the Senate. Senator, your time has expired. Thank you. Thank you. Senator from Clarendon, what purpose you rise, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a brief moment of personal interest. I know we have some important business to take care of today.
You're recognized.
Thank you. And
let me finish with that, and then we'll come to you. I've recognized the senator from Clarendon
thank
for
you,
his
Mr.
point of
President.
personal
I have
interest.
been before the body several times on this issue, and sometimes my daughter tells me when I talk, I say the same things over and over again. I don't intend to do that all the times when I'm having conversations, but I guess today I intend to do it, but I'm going to be brief. And again, you know, even during the budget debate, deliberations that we're in now, a lot of times I've heard, as I sat here yesterday, folks are speaking on behalf of their amendment, and one of the things that I've heard consistently is how many other states have done this or that or whatever as it relates to their amendment. And, you know, people talk about how long they've been here. I've only been here since 2012, so I haven't been here as long as others. But I have never heard anybody say in favor of a bill that they want to see get passed that 48 states have passed this bill. I've heard a lot less number, and they use that for justification as far as why we should pass this bill. 48 states have. And when I think back that I think South Carolina was the last state, for example, to make MLK Day, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, a state holiday, recognized as a state holiday. And I think about how it was not until after the tragic incident at Emanuel Church in Charleston that we came together, which I was real proud of us, and I think the state was also, and in fact the country, and decided to remove the Confederate flag from the State House grounds. And I don't ever question why a person votes how they vote. Everybody has a right to their own vote, but I don't know that there have been many bills that we have entertained this session as we come to an end that has been more important than this hate crime legislation. As I said, the House passed it, as has 48 other states. We're the body, we're the lone body in the entire country. Well, I won't say that, but we're the lone body in the entire country. I would say in recent history that lost one of our colleagues, and it was without a doubt due to hate. And so I'm going to take my seat, but I want to just ask us as a body to search within our souls and within our hearts. And none of my pleas have been to ask you to vote for the bill. Everybody vote their own conviction. But it is kind of frustrating we can't even discuss the bill. And as I said before, hate is prevalent all around us. There are a lot of crime everywhere, but a lot of it is based purely on hate. And we ought to send a message in South Carolina that if you commit a crime and a jury finds that your crime was motivated by hate, there's going to be some extra punishment. I think that only makes sense. But anyway, I just want to ask again, not that anybody feel compelled to vote for it, which I wish that that was the case, but that you feel like this is near the end of the session, it's important to a lot of members of this body, let's at least bring it up, let's discuss it, debate about it, deliberate it, and then everybody vote their own conviction. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Senator from Spartanburg. Senator Martin, what purpose do you rise?
To be recognized for an introduction.
You're recognized for introduction. While he's coming to the floor, Senator from Williamsburg. While he's coming to the floor.
Mr. President, I just want to also take a moment of personal interest once the senator finishes with his introduction.
Has been recognized for introduction. Senator from Williamsburg. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I too rise to speak on the issue of hate crimes. Frankly, I was not going to say anything. And then as I listened and as I felt the moment, felt compelled to come up and just chat for a couple of minutes. I read somewhere where one was challenged and ultimately said, if I don't speak, the rocks will cry out. And he said, I don't want any rocks crying out for me. And this is a Ronnie Sapp kind of a moment where I feel like if I don't talk, perhaps these desks might cry out, and I don't need a desk crying out for me. And so I too, like the senator from Clarendon, have spoken to this issue before. I suggested in my own little way that folks are watching what we do and what we don't do. And that if we're not careful, we send the signal to the rest of the world that it is fine to commit hate crimes in the state of South Carolina because we won't deal with the conduct ourselves. I had no idea that there was a website where folks are talking about where the best place to stay if you're white nationalists. I had no idea that those would be the folks that would be paying attention to what we do and believing that we condone the kind of conduct that has been on display time after time after time in our country. I was in a conversation doing mediation recently, and the mediator talked about the fact that he had gone to Charlottesville, Virginia. And he talked about all of the wonderful experience that he and his family had, the plantations that they visited and the beautiful balance that was struck when it came to the idea of discussing slavery, which is a part of our history, and discussing some of the great things that those individuals were able to accomplish in their lives. A delicate balance, which is significant. But I had to say to him, you know what? When I hear Charlottesville, I don't think about the delicate balances that are taking place in some of the plantations and the discussion about some of the great leaders of our nation. I think about what happened in Charlottesville and how folks gathered there and were emboldened in such a way that it felt that it was okay to just simply say, I hate Jews. I hate black folks. Jews ought not be here. Black folks ought not be here. This is our country. This is our world. And I witnessed how that unfolded. The fact that individuals lost their lives, being a part of saying, wait a minute, no, y'all don't come to Charlottesville with that. Take that someplace else. And I dare say, my friends and neighbors, in the South Carolina Senate, if we are not careful, we do the opposite of what those people in Charlottesville did. We don't stand and say you're not welcomed here, not because you're an individual, not because you're whatever color or whatever nationality, but we don't want you here because you bring hate, you bring discontent, you bring disruption, and y'all, come on. That's not who we are. And we know that's not who we are.
Senator from Clarendon, what purpose do you rise, sir?
When the senator is ready, I'd like to ask if he would consent to a question, but I'm willing to wait till he finishes his
Senator, yield for a question.
I yield.
Senator,
Thank you.
yield for a question.
Thank you, Senator. Just a couple of questions. You mentioned Jews and blacks, but we do agree that hate crimes are also perpetuated against people of all walks of life. And we agree also, do we not, that even our white brothers and sisters have been and will be victims of hate crime.
Thank you, Senator, and I appreciate you pointing that out because, I just spoke to those two, but you are absolutely right. The spectrum is far greater than that. Not only that, it goes further. It's a matter of whether or not folks think you're gay or straight. All kinds of differences, Senator. I would hasten to say there are folks, I remember the incidences in Georgia where the Asian community was under attack and several persons killed because they're Asians. And it's simply wrong. I remember one of Dr. King's great speeches when he talked about people being judged based upon the content of their character and not the color of their skin. And I believe that's what the United States of America stands for. I believe that that's what the state of South Carolina stands for. And not only should we judge them based upon the content of their character and not the color of their skin, Senator, it goes further.
Well, let me ask one final question, because did you know that it was mentioned to me a couple of times that some of the objection to the bill is because it's named after Senator Clementa Pinckney. So did you know that I don't care what the bill is called, I just want to have the opportunity to debate it, and if changing the name would bring it to the floor, I'd be willing to offer an amendment to do that. Were you aware of that?
Senator, I was not aware of that, but we've got to be more interested in substance than we are form. And so it's not the name that's attached to the bill, it's the bill itself, what it represents, and more importantly, what it speaks against.
Senator from Orangeburg, Senator Stevens, what purpose do you rise, sir?
Unanimous consent to ask the senator from Williamsburg a few questions.
He has
I yield, Mr. President.
he has 30 seconds left on his time, so yields for question.
I yield.
Senator, it is true that these crimes, hate crimes, or as the senator from Clarendon made mention, that it's not necessarily hate crime by one race to another, specifically black against white or white against black, but it's a combination of all races. And these crimes are not just murders. And you being a practice attorney, what is your definition of hate crimes?
Well, Senator, you know, the Ronnie Sabb definition of hate crimes would just be the notion of violating the rights of one or another based upon the element of hate.
Senator, your time has expired. Senator from Richland, Senator Scott.
You'd ask for Senate to get the senator from Williamsburg on District 3 minutes.
You're
going to wish your head.
Objection. Objection.
You'd ask
Who objected?
to get the senator from Williamsburg two additional minutes.
Objection is heard.
You'd ask to get the senator from Williamsburg 1 minute.
Objection has
Play the
been
game
heard.
today.
Senator from Charleston, what purpose do you rise?
Point of personal expression.
Point of personal interest. Recognized for up to 5 minutes. Senator from Charleston, Senator Sins, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I am mortified about what just happened. We never fail to give our colleagues an extra minute or two when they are trying to make a point of personal interest. And here it was, it happened during all of our colleagues pouring out their hearts about their lack of an ability to even get a fair debate on the hate crimes bill. It struck me that what I've seen today are only Democrats and only black Democrats coming up here to talk about the hate crimes bill. But I'm going to tell you right now, this white Republican thinks that we need to have an open and honest debate. If you don't want the bill, vote against it. I would like to point out also that Senator Kevin Johnson, we all know him, he rarely holds up a bill. He believes in free and fair debate. He almost always sends things through, even if he doesn't like it, like medical marijuana. He lets people have a chance to vote. We need to vote on this, and I honestly believe those of you who voted no to add the hate crimes portion in a proviso yesterday, a lot of you did so only because the budget was not an appropriate place for that argument to take place. However, I do believe that we need to go ahead and have honest and open debate on it. We do it on abortion year after year. Those of us who do not like the bills have to stand up and cast our votes. Those of you who do not like hate crimes bills, for whatever reason, ought to at least come to the podium, explain why you don't like it, let's have a debate, and put it forward. Thank you.
Well, just a minute. I'm going to recognize this. Have you finished? Senator from Charleston, you finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Senator from Richland, Senator Scott, what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I wish to be heard, personal interest.
Point of personal interest, up to 5 minutes. The Senator from Richland. Senator from Orangeburg, Senator Stevens, why he comes to the podium.
The words of the senator from Charleston, unanimous consent, her words be added to our journal.
Without objection. Senator from Richland, Senator Scott.
Mr. President, members of the Senate, first let me thank you for allowing other folk to go before me, giving me just enough time to rethink and to recapture myself. One thing about the Senate I like, the Senate is composed of very mature individuals. Regardless of what the issue may be, we sit and we listen to our colleagues. And because there's a specific issue that you don't like, to begin this process to erode this system by doing what happened to me this morning, I'll say this to you, I will not tolerate that kind of behavior. Now, if you so desire, in many cases you get up and out of common courtesy, we allow unanimous consent. And lots of times, I really didn't want to deal with unanimous consent, but I did. But after what I've witnessed this morning, and nobody, and I do thank the senator from Charleston, because I think she really understands the process of human dignity, courtesy, and respect in the Senate. There's not one of you in the Senate who says I have disrespected you, and I will not tolerate that kind of disrespect. And so from here until the end of the session, if this is the way the game is going to be played, let's play the game that way. I don't have a problem playing the game that way. You see, I was in the House when the Black Caucus was a very small group. I was in the House when the Democrat caucus dominated the group. I was in the House when Republicans dominate the group. So one thing I learned about that process, if you don't start and you don't maintain dignity and respect in this body, it will get out of control. And so it's up to your leadership. And sometimes leaders in the leadership get out of control. You better put them in check. That's a different kind of behavior. That behavior spills from this chamber
Senator,
back into the streets.
Senator.
I will not tolerate that kind of behavior in this Senate or anywhere else that I participate in. Thank you very much.
Senator from Clarendon. What purpose do you rise?
You for a question, Mr. President.
Senator, you for a question.
Senator Yields.
So, Senator, how long did you serve in the South Carolina House?
18 years.
And how long did you serve in the South Carolina Senate?
14 years.
So you have a total of 32 years?
32 years.
Have you ever witnessed anything like that before?
No, not I've never seen that before. I've never participated in that kind of foolishness before.
Senator.
And we're not going to
Senator.
start that kind of foolishness.
Thank you.